Hey guys, Nick here, and welcome back to my Flash episode review. My thoughts on last night's episode of The Flash, which is the Season 3 finale titled Finish Line. And I want to start my review of the finale by saying this. I know a lot of people have kind of given up on the show or have lost interest in the show because of the quality of this season. And I think that's fair. I mean, I know the season has had a lot of problems. Not my favorite season by any means. Again, I've said this a lot lately. The season just has had a real lack of vision and cohesive story and plot. And the whole delay of the Savitar reveal and just a lot of things in general just weren't handled all that well. Like, there's no real, consequences for the characters' actions in the season. Except for, spoiler alert for the finale, but the only consequence of the season is Barry having to go in the Speed Force because they need someone to fill that gap left by Jay for Jay coming out of the Speed Force, and because of Savitar leaving the Speed Force to begin with, because of Flashpoint and all that stuff. So that was the only real set of consequences, and even then, we all know because of the show that Barry is going to end up being back within the first episode or two. Like, we know the show is not going to run without Grant Gustin. Unless they do something ballsy, and maybe make Wally the new Flash. I mean, granted, it's a little soon to make Wally the Flash, but if they do something like that, I would applaud the show. But overall, I get people's frustration with the show. I mean, the show has really... I think it's because all these CW shows, a lot of them were led by Greg Berlanti, Andrew Kreisberg, a real great team of producers and showrunners. And because there are so many DC shows now, they all kind of like when a new show pops up, they make backup, or they have new showrunners to executive produce the rest of the show. So Kreisberg and Berlanti weren't really shepherding the last couple of seasons of The Flash, and a lot of people said, like last season wasn't all that great. I happen to actually really enjoy last season looking back on it. I know it had its fair share of problems, more so just because of the whole Zoom storyline, and that just ultimately wasn't really as compelling as I would have wanted it to be. But this season, it really did have a lack of vision, and that's probably what was my biggest problem in this current season of the show. But I gotta say, I actually really enjoyed the finale from last night. I really did, and it's not even just like, oh, I'm just ignoring its problems. No, I understand its problems. Like, honestly, the ending with Barry going into the Speed Force, I spoiled myself. I knew that was gonna happen at some point because I saw that there's a set video of them filming that, so I know beat for beat what was gonna happen. And especially when you see Harry and Jay and Joe and Iris, so you knew they weren't gonna kill off Iris. You knew they weren't gonna kill off anyone major. And granted, they killed off HR in this episode, and I'll touch on that briefly right now. HR, again, was a character that I was really just back and forth with. There were times I enjoyed him, times that I didn't. And in this episode, our theories from last week were confirmed that HR did trade places with Iris, and he ended up sacrificing himself for the team. And that was a great thing for him to do as a character. It kind of wraps up that character's arc. Because it goes to show he was trying to be a hero, and he was trying to do something that mattered, and that's all he was really trying to do. And the one thing I didn't like was that he claimed his love for Tracy. They literally just met. A few weeks ago. So this whole thing of him being in love with her and them wanting a future together and blah blah blah. They can have romantic feelings for each other, and because obviously there's a spark between them. But being in love, that's just bad writing in my opinion. But again, the sacrifice itself, a lot of us knew it was coming. But I thought it was still handled well for the most part. I did enjoy how they handled HR's death and then bringing Harry back. And again, this season kind of reminded me of why I like seasons 1 and 2 so much. Obviously, season 1 more than season 2. But bringing Harry back I thought was cool because of my lack of interest in the HR character for a lot of the season. I actually kind of miss Harry. And it's cool for Tom Cavanaugh to come back as that version of Harrison Wells. And of course, more than likely, they're going to bring back another version of Harrison Wells. But I wouldn't mind them just keeping Harry around. I know we know that he's going to stick around for a little while. But I think Harry's better suited as that version of Harrison Wells. I just wish that the show just kept us with a consistent Harrison Wells. Obviously, he can't go back to first season because that wasn't even actually Harrison Wells. It was Eobard Thawne. But I do like how the show brought back Harry, for at least for the finale and for the time being. So those are just my thoughts on the whole Harry situation. And this finale, I thought there's a lot of great things I liked about it. was a little melodramatic at times, yeah, sure. And the turn of Caitlyn was they could have set that up a lot better. And Caitlyn now not really being Caitlyn and not really being Killer Frost, she's like something in the middle, and she didn't even use that cure. She just kind of like was able to become like take control of her own body, but also realizing that she's not Caitlyn Snow anymore. She's not Killer Frost anymore. She's something different. So if that means she's gonna go down a heroic route, who knows? Because in the comics, Killer Frost is just a villain, so it's hard to know what they're gonna do with the character because what they've done so far has all been new to the character, except for her becoming Killer Frost. So who knows what they're gonna do with Caitlyn moving forward. And then Savitar in this episode, I did like how they were like Barry was actually thinking rationally in this episode, because in the past couple of finales, Barry has kind of let his emotion get the better of him, and he's allowed that to dictate what he does in his decision making. And in this episode, he's like, you know, I've always acted out of anger, and we needed to do something different, than something he wouldn't expect. And he tried to appeal to Savitar as a human being, appeal to Savitar as Barry, and as an extension of Barry. And you knew that Savitar had an ulterior motive, and obviously we all knew that, but it was nice seeing Barry just trying to be a rational person and trying something different than just trying to run faster, and doing all these things. And I think it was a good character episode for Barry, because it goes to show that he has grown. He has realized his mistakes, and he's not like this is a finale where he's not like overly emotional or anything. So I'm glad that the show ended Barry the way they did in terms of character, not necessarily the fact that now he's in the Speed Force. But I do like how they had his character in this episode. I thought it was one of the best written episodes for Barry that we've had in a really long time. Just because when Barry is overly emotional, that's when he's like less of the character from the comics and more of just an emotional character. He's like, because Barry Allen in the comics is a lot more stern, a lot more confident in himself, because he doesn't necessarily have like a team to rely on. He has the Justice League, and he has and he has friends and stuff. But for the most part, Barry in the comics is like on his own, so he has to figure out these problems and solve them on his own, and deal with these issues on his own. So when he has a whole team to just kind of fall back on, that bit of responsibility, like he doesn't always feel, it seems like he doesn't always have to be like, oh, this is not just my responsibility, I have friends who can help me out. So he has that to fall back on, which I think kind of weakens him as a character. And I've said that in the past, that like, I wish Barry was able to stand more on his own as a character, make more smarter decisions for himself than just being, because Team Flash, I think, it has weighed him down a lot. Not saying like the characters have, but I think the whole idea of Team Flash has weighed him down, because and they do the same thing in Arrow as well, because these are both characters who in the comics do things on their own for the most part. I mean, obviously Green Arrow in the comics is Black Canary, but there in the comics there is no Team Arrow, there is no Team Flash. So when you have these characters in the comics who are more independent and can do things on their own, and you take them out of that setting and put them into a situation where they're reliant on a team, again, I think it weakens them as a character. And while the show had a lot of strengths in its first season and second season as well because of the team dynamic, but I feel like as a whole, as a character, Barry has been like, his personality I think has been weakened, and his skills as the Flash have been weakened because he's so reliant on the team that he's not able to solve things on his own. He's always having to rely on Cisco or Caitlyn or Wells or whatever. I've had a problem with that bit of the writing, and it's not a knock on the performance of the show as a whole. It's just the writing, and I don't hate it. I think it's something that they need to really improve on moving forward, and they need to shrink up Team Flash. Honestly, Julian I don't think is a good fit for the team. Tracy, I don't know how to feel about her being on the team, or if she's gonna stay on the team, or what's gonna happen there. Obviously, keep Cisco around because now he's Vibe full. It seems like he's gonna be Vibe full time, which I'm really excited for. You have Wally, who's a speedster. Jay is more than likely not gonna stick around very long. And it was honestly, and then so because I know I'm already like almost 10 minutes into this review, the fights in Brainy and Jay and Gypsy, and so you have this huge superhero team up. You have all the speedsters and the Vibers, if you want to call them that. I thought it was a great fight. Granted, when Barry was confronting Savitar and Barry like jumps into Savitar's suit, it's like, well, where are Wally and Jay? Other than that, I thought the fight was really cool, and Barry like, just destroying the Savitar suit. And I want to get into a little bit of something, because so a lot of you guys know, Iris West is one of my favorite characters in the show currently, And seriously, I gotta give the props to the writers, not only for not killing Iris, but Iris was the one who saved the day. Iris was the one who pretty much saved the team and saved Barry. She defeated Savitar. She killed Savitar. And goes to show women can save the day. It's not always going to be like the suited hero who's going to be able to save the day. And especially because Barry's made so many mistakes, it's nice to see someone who's a strong-willed and just an overall great character as Iris being able to do that. And in that decision, in that moment, she made a decision. Granted, that's something she's gonna have to live with, that she killed. But Iris saving the day just made, for me, like, I was so happy when that happened, because obviously Iris is my favorite character. I think she's one of the best written characters in the show, most consistently well-written characters. Obviously there have been problems with the way they've written Iris in the past, especially in season 2 when they were like forcing her to decide for Patty Spivot. And I do wish they showed more of Iris reporting and more of her doing her job like they did in first season. But I understand like this season there's a lot going on. That's more on the writing. But Iris is a character, I've loved her character, and I loved, like, in this episode they bring back the when they're talking about passing out their the date invitations after Harry's funeral and everything, and she's like singing to Barry like those little lines in the song. I thought that was really sweet. And Candace Patton is an amazing actress. I love her portrayal of the Iris. I love her portrayal of Iris. She's just... she is the emotional heart of this show. The show would seriously be nothing without Iris, because Iris is kind of like the source of Barry's power in a way. Because, you know, like, when he was struck by lightning, then there was that spark there, like that literal spark. And now their future together is back to the way it should be, with Iris writing that article in the future. Iris is I think the best written character in the show right now, other than outside maybe like Cisco or Joe. I love Iris as a character. I can go on and on about Iris. I love her character so much. And I mentioned this before, but I feel like a lot of fandoms in TV, or at least the shows that I watch, can get really annoying, and fandoms themselves can get toxic, and I don't want to associate with them. But the one fandom I've been able to associate with in terms of all the DC TV shows is the West Allen fandom. They've all been great. Everyone I've encountered pretty much has been really nice, except for a couple of people here and there, but that's just issues with them, like it's me and them not getting along or whatever. That's just not them, like, as a person. That's just, because they're a West Allen fan, me not getting along with them. But for the most part, almost every single person I've encountered in the fandom has been nothing but supportive. And just like when I did that video in defense of Iris West and that got as much traction as it did, I got so much support from the people who watched the video, and I've gotten a lot of support from the people when I talk about Iris and talk about how much I love Iris. And there's so many people who want to join in and be like, oh yes, we love Iris too. Like, I don't have that in Arrow, like, because I'm not an Odyssey fan. Like, there's nothing really in Arrow that, like, not a whole lot of people who are, like, shippers, you know, watch my videos and be like, oh, I agree with you on this, and this. The West Allen fandom is one of the best fandoms in terms of all these shows. And I'm happy I can include myself as part of that group, because they're all, from what I've encountered, except for, again, for a couple of people, but that's just me not getting along with those individuals as individuals. They've all been nothing but supportive and nice to me. So for any West Allen fans watching this right now, thank you seriously from the bottom of my heart for supporting me throughout this entire time that I've been reviewing The Flash. You guys have all been really nice, and coming from someone who didn't even like Iris in the beginning, obviously I love Iris now, considering I've been talking about her for the last like 5 minutes. You guys have fandom, you guys are all rock, so I just want to throw that out there. And again, thank you guys for continuously watching my videos and supporting me, and supporting West Allen fans in general. You guys are all awesome. So I just wanted to say that. But overall, again, this season, again, with its flaws and everything, there's a lot of things in the season that they introduced that I really enjoyed. I liked the Gorilla Grodd episodes; those were great. The Flash and Supergirl musical episode, I liked a lot. I liked obviously the 4-way crossover. I liked the bringing in Jesse Quick and her becoming Jesse Quick. I love them having Wally finally become Kid Flash, and I love having Jay Garrick in the show, and like the actual Jay Garrick in John Wesley's ship. And I'm so happy to see him in the finale, coming out of the Speed Force, like him, Wally, and Barry, all this like classic speedsters. Like you pretty much have all the Flashes except for Bart Allen in there, and they've been teasing Bart a little bit this season when Barry was forgot who he was, He's like, oh, do I go by Bart? They're teasing Bart, and I feel like Bart's gonna be coming at some point in the next couple of years, which would be weird because I think that'd be too many speedsters, like unless something happens to Wally or Barry and whatever. But I have a feeling they're gonna bring in Bart at some point in the near future, so we'll probably keep our eyes open for that. What else? I love the introduction of the character of Gypsy because it gives someone who Cisco can interact with as well as be in a romantic relationship with. And I think she's a really awesome character. Like, the Flash, more so than even, like, Arrow. And I've enjoyed Arrow this season, but I think the Flash, more so than Arrow and most of the other DC shows, know how to handle their female characters and their female characters of color. Whereas, like, I enjoy the characters of Supergirl, but there's a lot of problematic things in that show that a lot of the writers in that show do some borderline racist things with their characters. Like have Kara be in a relationship with a former slave owner while dumping one of the only male African American characters in the show that I have real problems with. But in the Flash, you have a character like Gypsy, you have characters like Iris, you have characters like Linda Park, who I think are all great characters, and I wish they could be utilized more. Sure, but like I don't have that in Arrow. Yeah, you have Dinah and you have Laurel, but then they killed off Laurel. But there's so much of focus on Felicity and Arrow that don't really have room for other female characters other than like maybe Lila. And that show overall isn't too diverse in terms of its female characters. But in The Flash, again, you have so many characters who are great characters. Again, characters I wish we saw more of. But I think the show's done a really good job of giving us a more diverse cast. And I think it's important, especially it's 2017, we need a more diverse superhero show. And that's why I'm so looking forward to the new Black Lightning show, because it's an all African American cast, and I'm so happy for that because as a white guy, even I get bored of just seeing straight white guys leading these shows all the time. So that's why I'm looking forward to a show like that, because it's different and it's just he looks like a badass hero, and it's a different dynamic because it's more of like a family drama as well as a superhero show, not just a superhero show with a guy who's just trying to save a city all the time. It is about a guy saving a city, but there's more to it than that, and that's why I'm looking forward to Black Lightning as much as I am. And The Flash is slowly getting there in terms of having a wider, diverse cast. But I mean, sometimes they've made mistakes in terms of writing their female characters, like I said previously. But I think The Flash in general has had a really good run of the way it's treated its female characters, especially in Iris this season. I loved Aunt Candace Patton this season. I'm just trying to think if there's anything off the top of my head that I really enjoyed this season. Again, Savitar as a villain was a letdown. I thought Zoom was a better villain, and of course I thought Reverse Flash has been, and I think always will be, Flash's greatest villain in the show or even in the comics. And it sucks because for the time being, as far as we can tell, Eobard Thawne is gone, erased from existence, because and obviously he was part of Legion of Doom in Legends of Tomorrow, and he was erased from existence in that show as well because he was a time remnant, and that's how he was able to dodge being erased from the timeline in the season 1 finale of The Flash. I do hope we see some form of Eobard Thawne again in the show, because he's the Reverse Flash. I mean, I feel like you can't have the Flash without Reverse Flash being there. And I do wish we saw more of him this season. I know we saw him in the Flashpoint storyline earlier in the season, but I just wish we saw more Eobard Thawne, because I think he's been the best villain the show's ever had. I mean, yeah, and he had Zoom, who was kind of terrifying, and then he ultimately became Black Flash. And I know for a fact, not for a fact, but I know Black Flash wasn't that easy to defeat. Just freezing him and him just shattering. I feel like he exists beyond a physical body. That there is a lot more to Black Flash than just being, again, this physical entity. Like, he is this everlasting thing. And I do like on this episode they called him Hunter, because everyone saw what happened to him at the end of last year. But I know Black Flash is going to come back. He's Black Flash, and I'm glad that they called him Black Flash in this episode, because it's the first time they've actually referred to him as that in the entire show. But I'm just glad we saw so much of him in this season of TV between Legends and The Flash. Black Flash is a really cool, it's like ominous character that's in the Flash mythos. So I think with that being said, it's gonna be it for me. Again, I know this season was a mixed bag in terms of quality. I know a lot of people would probably jump ship from The Flash because of its lack of cohesive story and its overall lack of quality. I found enjoyment in a lot of the season as individual episodes, like I've said. I thought that the season wrapped up fairly well, except for the final scene in this episode was very just choreographed and very just not as emotional as it should have been, because everything Barry seemed to chew okay with what was going on. I enjoyed the show for the most part. I hope for season 4 is an improvement. I'm not saying I hated the season like some people did, or I know some people hated season 3 or even hated season 2. I still find enjoyment in the show. I'm still going to watch it. I'm still going to review it. Season 3 was not nearly as bad as Arrow's season 3, but it does need to improve. And I know one of the showrunners just left, so I'm hoping maybe that means we get a new fresh face into the show, or maybe bring Andrew Kreisberg back, or one of the original showrunners back, who can shepherd the show back into what it was. Not even necessarily in season 1, but have some like a middle ground between seasons 1 and 2 in terms of quality. I think that's what all of us fans just want anyway. So I think that being said, that's going to be it for me. So again, what did you guys think of this season of The Flash and this finale? Send your thoughts in the usual place in the comment section below. Give this video a thumbs up and hit the subscribe button for all the other content I'm putting up on my channel. I know I said I was going to try to do this review last night, but just again, I was busy with work, and my fiance, we were trying to spend as much time together as we could, because by the time I come home, she just gotten home from work and she has to be up for work super early, so there was only so much time we could spend together before she has to go to bed. So I spent time with her and waited on watching the show and reviewing it. But same thing might happen tonight with tonight's finale of Arrow, which I'm really, really excited for. I think Arrow's probably going to wrap up better than The Flash did, but the Flash episode I thought wrapped up fairly well. I know a lot of people are going to have mixed feelings on it, but again, you guys can go ahead and chat away in the comment section below. It's going to be a long time before the show comes back, so you guys can keep the conversation going until then. And thanks everyone for watching my videos this season. It's been really great talking to you guys and theorizing what's been going on with the show. I hope a lot of you guys stick around, because I enjoyed talking about The Flash with you guys and just chatting with all of you. You guys are all great. Thank you guys seriously for watching. And until next season, have a good one.